Okay, so today we are going to be planning a vacation. This is something that I do in Notion when I go on a trip. I find it really helpful, and I think that others might as well. So let's just go for a specific location. As usual, gotta kind of, make it a bit flashy. Just keep us all engaged in it. Okay, beautiful. Okay. So when it comes to this, I'm going to break it up into 3 main sections. As usual, there are a million different things that you could do, but I'm just trying to keep it simplistic and accessible so as not to overcomplicate things. So the first section that I'm going to have is sort of like the nitty-gritty of like the important high-level things like itinerary, flight times, accommodations, etc. So I'm gonna call this trip details. You could also, if this was a group trip, you could all have this as like kind of your hub for information. So in terms of trip details, I would probably do a toggle list here and have maybe accommodations, maybe another flight times, depending if you had other things booked, maybe like tours or excursions, you could have a toggle for that as well. So in here, you could put the screenshots, you could put confirmation codes, etc. I think for the sake of an example, I'll just, I'm not gonna actually take a flight and put it here, but like typically I would have a screenshot of my flight confirmation or my boarding pass even and put it in here. For accommodations, you could have, I have actually stayed at this hotel in Prague, so you know what? We're gonna go for that. A chill apartments, Prague. Then you could have the address, which I don't know by heart, and your confirmation, etc. So that is kind of the trip details section. As usual, like to make this all really visual, so maybe I would put something like this here. Then moving on to the more kind of fun aspects. So what I would do then is I'd probably do an inline, I'd probably do a calendar in here. Good Lord, I actually don't know what I just did there. That is not what I wanted to do. So I think what I would do here is a inline database where I would then go and make sure that I get a calendar view, because that's actually what I'm wanting. Yeah, that looks better. Trip itinerary plus plans. So you have this embedded in here. Then I think what I would go ahead and do is that you're gonna alter the settings so that I wanna have the calendar settings be, so you don't want it probably as a month unless you're going on a really long trip, that's fun. But I'm gonna set this as a week, show calendar by date, yep. Show weekends, yes. And yeah, as you can tell, you can, make a couple tweaks here, but that's probably what I would go ahead and start as. And then what you can go ahead and do is add tags as well, if that is helpful. So let's see, I am going to add edit properties. Here we go. Apologies for my confusion. So let me find a tag. So, here we go. Okay, multi-select. So the reason that I'm doing this is I'm kind of imagining, at least I've gone on trips like this, where you might have some days that are a little bit more work-oriented, then you have some days that are kind of like personal, maybe you have free time versus more scheduled-in things. So that is why I'm sort of, outlining that. Like, say you were going for like maybe a trip that had like a conference, but then maybe you were also doing some stuff with friends and family. That's kind of my vision for this. You would want this to be showing. So let's see. So like say this is arrival and maybe that day you have kind of the day to yourself, so you know that's something you can kind of plan stuff in. Maybe Monday conference, day 1, work, and then you could even add in here like say which sessions you wanted to go to, or here you could type in arrival, breakfast at 8:30, Congress Center, I'm pulling from past experience, but you get the drift here. As you can see, because if you guys notice, I dragged that out, it kind of extended to the 23rd. So this is actually exactly what I wanted to. So say that it was a multi-day conference, it might look something like this. So maybe this is actually a free day. Let's do that. And then that is kind of what it's going to start to look like as you build it out. I am continuing to just make this up. But yeah, so you can get the drift. Confirmation number. I'm literally making this up. 9 to 3, maybe. I don't know. How long is one tour? I don't actually know. Anyway, so you kind of get the drift. So you have a sort of itinerary here, especially if you are maybe collaborating with other people, that is going to be super, super, super helpful. So then the last sort of section that I like to have, and that being said, 100% you could do so many different things. You could add budgeting to this. You could add, like maybe if multiple different people are paying for this, you could add like formulas for that. There is so much that you can do. But again, I'm just going to keep this really simple for the sake of simplicity. Adding that. So we've got our trip details, trip itinerary, and plans. And then the last section that I personally always love to do is a bucket list, I call it. So like trip bucket list. So it's like the stuff that I want to see, that I want to do, that I want to taste, whatever it may be. So I'm going to give a couple examples. So I honestly will just start like a really simple list. Again, you could totally make this more fancy. You could start an inline database and have like tags for like what type of thing it is. Again, if you were like planning with other people, you could even have like voting on there so people could vote like what is high priority for them, what is lower priority. I can definitely do that in a different video, but again, today just keeping it really simple. So I'm gonna just make up a couple items. Maybe you want to and so again, like behind these or underneath it, you could be linking specific maybe restaurants, maybe stuff that you saw on Instagram or other places online, and it's just like a good brainstorming list. What you actually also could do, actually I'm realizing that this is what I actually usually do, is if you make it a to-do list, and it's kind of fun, like as you're going throughout the trip, you can actually like check things off if you ended up doing it, and if not, then you know that maybe next time that you return, you can try to, check off those other items on your list. So again, super simple, but for me, I find this really helpful, especially like I've been at the airport and I will like have somebody in my party like be like, oh God, like my phone's almost dead. Like, can somebody pull up my boarding pass? And I literally will just be able to navigate to my trip page. And I will just, open the flight times, and then I have everybody's boarding passes or, other information like that you might need. It is so helpful. And it's also really a fun way to kind of look forward to your trip as you do some brainstorming and organizing. Not to mention the fact that you'll be able to take advantage of your trip more by, coming in organized and excited.